Hey everybody, Jake Thurm here on behalf of V1 Sports. Rory Mcllroy has won his second Players' Championship. It took one extra day and it's St. Patrick's Day. Makes sense, right? So we're going to use the green lines for Rory Mcllroy on St. Patrick's Day. And there is a lot of inhuman stuff that Rory Mcllroy does, but there is a lot that a lot of you out there can take away from this and use to help your game, especially if you have ever thought about hitting a draw. Okay, there's a couple things in here I would look at if I were out there and I was slicing the ball and I had a double-digit handicap and I was trying to get into the single-digit handicap. Probably that is not coming through a slice. Let's look at his aim, and it's funny, I did about a year ago, John Rahm, a video about him on the same hole, and he hit a cut over that tree. Rory's not going to do that. It's going to go high, starting slightly right, curving back left. But let's go. Posture is excellent here. Nice flat lower back. His shoulder blades are pulled back a little bit, so there's no kind of undue rounding. The camera's not quite 90 degrees on him, but you can see that that's his toe line, hip line, and shoulder line. So the funniest thing is he progressively gets a little bit more open. Now, I did promise all the slicers out there that there was a lot of good takeaways from Rory's swing, just in terms of club movement. This, in terms of angles, is not what I'd recommend a slicer do. So his toe line is relatively square. His pelvis gets a little bit more open. His rib cage gets a little bit more open of that. Again, if you are a double-digit handicap, probably I would strive for a square to closed setup until all you do is swing the club generously from the inside and, again, start working on that push draw. When all you do is draw, and the funniest thing is all Rory does is to make sure he doesn't draw it too much. He can hit a fade now. When he first hit the PGA Tour, he couldn't. But now he can actually work it both ways. When all you do, probably even when you struggle, is draw, I would set up just like Rory does here. Well, take him in his takeaway. You see a little bit of a lifting motion of his arms. And this is a wider position for Rory. I've got Rory through the years. You guys have seen those montages all over YouTube and what have you, where basically when he was younger, his hands used to go much further in. This is wider, more in front of him, more of a kind of almost a toe-up position right there with the club face. So this is old school. We'd call that a one-piece takeaway where he is turning the triangle away from the golf ball. Again, it seems to be his point of emphasis on all the swings that I've seen, all the rehearsals I've seen, when I've seen him on the range at the events I've been at. It's been an emphasis on getting the club wider, his right arm wider, and more in front of him, because what you're going to see is he does not lack for depth. In fact, most of you out there would live to have the depth that Rory Mcllroy does in his backswing, but Rory almost has depth for days. So we'll see this at the top right here. And again, for those that don't know, depth would be kind of the hands being behind the heels right there, the left arm across the chest, full rotation of the hips and the shoulders, again, with the left arm. Actually, I would call it even a little bit more neutral because it's covering his shoulder plane. And again, definitely getting the hands in a deeper position, which so many of you out there struggle. You lack for rotation. Some of you are trying not to turn your hips. Don't do that. Turn your hips in your backswing. In fact, you can turn them as far as they'll go. Get the full hip turn, a full shoulder turn, and get that arm across, not lifting so much up, but more across the chest, because what this will help you with is the next portion, and that's the transition. You notice the lowering. See how the hands are almost still on that yellow line, and there's a lowering. Now, how is he lowering? Let's actually put him way up at the top here. This right as transition. He is lowering, okay. Just like that. And that actually causes the hands to move down a couple inches. The arm stays across the chest because the chest eventually will bring the hands out, but not immediately. Eventually, not immediately. So there's some lowering right there. It looks like he's doing a squat, especially with his trail leg. I got this from Sasha McKenzie. The trail leg basically does a pistol squat when in transition to cause the lowering. The lead leg kind of does a lunge, but we'll talk about that in a second. The lunge will get him around the corner. So this is the sit to square, the pistol squat. You see how much he's transitioned and how his hands are still back by that yellow line. Now it's starting to come out. The rib cage is going to bring that out. That lowering, not only of the body, but of the plane of the arms, leaving the left arm across the chest, the lead arm adduction, really helps with not only after you've created that depth, but maintaining that for a time in your transition on your downswing, which will help you swing from the inside. 90% of the people watching this video who have a double-digit handicap are swinging outside in. This is what you're trying to look for in terms of the golf club, okay? Again, turn the hips, turn the shoulders as far as they go. Get the arm kind of feeling across the chest and then feel like it stays there, okay? Keep your back to the target longer. Again, none of these would be Rory's swing thoughts because he does this so much. But for the higher handicap player, this is absolutely what you should strive to do to get the club coming from the inside. You can see that. Beautiful delivery right there. Right in line with the hands, maybe even a touch inside. A little beautiful toe-up delivery. And just as promised, trail leg does a pistol squat. Lead leg does a lunge. So think about doing a lunge with your left leg if you're a right-handed golfer. And that kind of push back up from the ground is how he's going to get that left hip out of the way to clear space to allow him to release the golf club fully. So many people are all cramped up in here and they're unable to release the club because their right arm gets caught and trapped behind him. Interesting thing is I think Rory's right arm is wider and more in front of him than it has been in a long time. So that would also get him too stuck in from the inside. But you can see plenty of space right here, plenty of rotation. Always love it when the drawers hit the ball with tons of rotation through the shot. Again, that serves as a way of stabilizing the club face. That is a sensation more than it's a reality by these great players. They feel as though there's no undue amount of closure of the club face. Of course, the club face is closing, but they don't feel there is as much in the golf swing. You can see that beautiful release down the line. I do think that Rory's always strived to have a little bit more of a lower exit. You can see his maintaining of his tilts. So the club is exiting lower and probably more left than it was back in the day. And then we can see that ball. Remember, my video a year ago, Jon Rahm over here, Rory over here. Jon Rahm hitting a pull cut, Rory hitting a high, nasty bomb push draw. Okay? Two different styles of play, both world class, both major champions. Rory's a little bit more diminutive, and I think a better example of at least a ball flight most amateurs should try to attain, and that is a push draw. If you hit the slice, no great golf will come from that. Go to your local pro, go to a V1 instructor, and learn how to hit that push draw like Rory Mcllroy. Turn the hips, get some depth, feel like the arms and hands stay back until the chest brings them out. Stay from the inside. Some amount of lowering is a good thing because it increases. The more you lower, the more you can push up from the ground. The more you can push up from the ground later in the downstroke, the more powerful you'll be. And you know what? You might hit it like Rory Mcllroy. Jake Thurm, Winners Monday, Players Champion, Rory Mcllroy. Won't be the last time he wins this year. We'll see you on the next one.